The first month of the year is always the perfect opportunity to check out those new writers and those new releases that you want to check throughout the year. So this time around, I'm very excited about what's coming up. And today I want to share with you maybe all or part of all the books that I really want to read in 2025. So let's go. Before we get started, welcome. Thank you for your time. My name is Yersi, and this is my channel, Books and Boundaries, where we dive into the magic of reading one book at a time. So remember that. And before anything else, let me clarify that my choices in books may or may not be 2025 releases. So I would say this is more of a mixture of new and not so new things. So you know what to expect from me this time around. And my first choice for sure has to be Immortal by Suli Tan. And Suli Tan for me has a very special place because she's one of those authors that have always had a great moment with her dual novels. And one of the things that you notice with her writing is how full of strength and positive vibes her female characters always feel. For the most part, they always tend to be very balanced and courageous. And here in this novel, we seem to have the story of a very young female that rises to the throne after the death of her grandfather. But with that, also, she encounters a world that is full of chaos and a lot of hardships and threats to her people. So, because of this reason, she seeks an alliance with the immortals so then she can defeat whatever hardships come her way. Now, what can you expect with Suli Tan? Suli Tan knows how to write intrigued and also a lot of hardships and hard roads and self-discovery, but also a lot of hope. I truly enjoy her prior books, The Daughter of the Moon Goddess Duality, that she put out, I believe 2023, 2024. I got them as ebook, and that's why I was so entitled to get the physical book this time because I truly enjoy it as a writer. So I have high expectations and I hope to love it. Next in my list is Old School by Gordon Corman. And this author is completely new to me. I never knew him before, but when I saw the cover of the book, I completely fell in love. And this is the story of Dexter. Dexter is 12 years old. He has been raised by his grandma. And the problem here is that Dexter at 12 has never interacted with other kids. So he has been even homeschooled by the seniors of the area where he lives. So when an opportunity arises and he's actually forced to go to school, his world completely clashes and falls apart because everything that he knows is falls apart. I mean, everything around him is unfamiliar. So this is a typical coming of age story of self-development and self-improvement where the new and the old merge and birth some very great lessons and personal growth for a very grumpy Dexter. So come on, I love it. Just because of the book is so cute. So I'm heading shortly to Barnes and Nobles because I really need to have the physical book. So if you have read it, let me know because I want to read it too. And oh my God, guys. Without a doubt, my personal and most expected read of the year is The God and the Within by Sophie Kim. This is the sequel, of course, of The God and the Gumiho book that came out last year. Now, in this installment, this is a new story that picks up where the original story left off. And if you haven't read the story, like a short brief is that our main characters are very ancient and fugitive. We have a Naintal fox that join forces with a fallen god in order to defeat a demon that is lurking among the humans because he wants to destroy the souls of the human beings and break the balance between heaven and hell or the celestial kingdom and the underworld. So after a very fierce battle and many misunderstanding between our characters, the fox decides to make her biggest sacrifice ever in order to save everyone. But the problem here is that she is sent to the underworld as punishment. She's stripped of her memories, and the hope for the two characters to reunite is barely none. They are only connected by a thread of fate. So obviously our fallen god is just waiting for her reincarnation. And oh my God, I mean, the drama, the banter, the hate between the characters, the obsession that they both have with each other to make each other's life so miserable. But they're so prideful, and yet the explosive end and the feelings that they have for each other, definitely you have to read it. This is going to be released in June 3rd. So if you have not read The God and the Kumiho by Sophie Kim, I highly, highly recommend it. I loved it. I can't wait for the book to be released because I have a lot of questions. I need to know how the story is going to develop. Is it going to have a happy ending? Are they going to profess their love for each other? I mean, what is going to happen, because they are polar opposites, so to speak. So let's find out together. And going back to fantasy, another book that I'm highly interested in is A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim. And what got my attention about this book, this is not a book in translation. It's going to be released. Let me check if I have a note. Yes, this is going to be released also in June 3rd. June seems to be explosive when it comes to fantasy releases. So looking forward to that. But this book seems to bring the story of our main character. She is the breadwinner of her family. We truly don't know what's going on with her father, but we do know a little bit that her mother has gambling issues. She has to take care of the family household. She has to take care of her sisters. And even though she's not the cleanest person in terms of morals, a girl gotta do what she has to do in order to survive. So she paints the future for people, and who knows all the things that she does. But the problem here is that she finds herself entangled with some bad guys, and she has to make an alliance with a dragon god, and that's where the plot begins and entangles. And I think this is fascinating because I have never seen a fantasy book where the ability or the magic that the main character possesses is to paint the future. So how is this going to develop? How does it work? Who is this other dragon god? Who are the side characters? I have a lot of questions. The book cover is also beautiful. It's purple with white and silver and gold. So I think it's going to be very delicious. I have never read anything about Elizabeth Lim. I do not know if this is her debut novel, but if that's the case, we need to support that because there's very, very, very talented female writers out there. So I am very interested in. Have you heard about this book? Do you want to read it? So if so let's join together and let's check it out. Switching gears with mystery, which is very uncommon because I don't tend to read mystery a lot. I used to a couple of years ago, but not anymore. The next book that I have for you is At the Bottom of the Garden by, let me check the author, by Camilla Bruce. And what I thought it was fascinating about this story is that this is a very greedy woman. It seems to be a multiple points of view, multiple POVs. So this is a very greedy woman that she holds a lot of secrets. She kills people, she kills men, in order to attain what I believe is wealth, but she is fully conscious of it. She doesn't care about it. She has no remorse. She has no guilt. However, when her nieces end up being orphaned because of her parents passed away, they end up under her guardianship and they come to live with her. The problem with this is that the girls, Lily and Violet, which I think is very nice that the author chose names of flowers, and then the name of the book is At the Bottom of the Garden. So Lily and Violet, they have abilities to see the dead. So when they come to the house, they know the skeletons that this auntie is safekeeping. So now they become enemies because they start unraveling all these secrets that the auntie has. And the auntie is in her best interest to shut the mouth of all these two girls because she doesn't want her skeletons to come outside of the closet. So I thought it was very interesting. I have never seen a story with minors or sisters that have disabilities and the contentious moment is between family members. This would be a first for me, so that's why I have it in my list because I thought it was very unusual. Have you read anything about this author? Her name is Camilla Bruce. I am not sure if she writes mysteries, but definitely this is a mystery that I want to explore for sure. And as I was putting together my list of all the books that I want to read and all the things that piqued my interest, I noticed that a main theme, something that all the books had in common, is very strong female portrayals. And the next book that I am interested in is a book in translation of a Japanese author named Fumio Yamamoto. And the name of the book is The Dilemmas of the Working Women. And this is a short collection of short stories about five women or five stories and how their hardships and how they cope with a society that is very demanding get painted throughout the lens of each character and their lives and how they convey in their own words and in their own lives what success is and how they see success, how they struggle with the demands of society and family and the expectations of being successful, maybe in a workplace or maybe as a mother. So after I read Discontent by Beatrice Serrano, which I read it about just about 2 weeks ago. I was very captivated by these kind of stories in these works in translation because it's always interesting to see the female point of view depending on your cultural background. So if you truly like modern classics and works in translation, I think this collection of short stories have the potential to really captivate your eye and teach us something. So I want to read it. I'm very interested in it. Have you heard of this author before? I am not fully acquainted with Japanese literature, either modern classics or modern. So this is going to be a total rediscovery for me. So if you have read about it, let me know what you think of it. And if not, I am definitely waiting for the release of the English new translation of this book. And let's see what happens. And definitely the works in translation have captivated me enough because I just realized that also another book that I'm highly interested in is the story of a single woman. Let me see. Yes. The Story of a Single Woman by Chiyo Uno. I believe this is also a Japanese writer. And this story really reminded me of Pachinko for some reason. I don't know if he has like the same gangsta vibes or anything like that, but this is like the story of our main character. I am not sure if it's told in the first person or with a first point of view, but our first character sees herself as a young woman. She's in the midst of an arranged marriage. She leaves her house, but she decides to leave the household where she was sent to. She goes back to her father. Then she lives alone. She travels to Korea. She leaves Japan. Then she comes back to Japan. She goes to Tokyo and she starts defying society and defying the Japanese norm. And she encounters herself and she wants to be self-sufficient and she wants to have a job and she wants to earn a living. She doesn't want to be the typical mother or the typical wife. So she becomes a writer. So I thought this was very defiant and very so of character for a very strong female in a Japanese depiction. So I don't know, it's just I'm captivated by the title. The cover I don't like that much. It's a little bit subdued for my taste, but the story I'm like, okay. I don't know, it has some pachinko vibes and I truly enjoyed pachinko when I read it. The females were very courageous and very fierce. So I'm expecting something like this with this one. The Story of a Single Woman by Chia Una. And another story that I'm very interested in reading is Complications in Paris by Melinda Cobb. And this is a historical fiction of American sisters established themselves in Paris. And the whole plot starts developing when their father asked them to come back to America, but they refuse. Now, I am not 100% sure what was the purpose of them relocating to Paris, why they want to stay there. But the thing is that they start scheming a lot of plans in order to stay there. They meet some love interest, and our main character, Diane, I believe is her name. She meets someone, and even though she's trying to fake a relationship, obviously they start developing feeling for each other. But then another issue arises, and is that even though they start developing feelings for each other, their love or their interest for each other is not the same. He wants something more serious. She wants to stay a open spirit and develop herself as a young female in the world in Europe. So this is very interesting. It has, I believe, a very feminine touch. So I want to see what this story is about. So want to read it with me? Let's check it out then. And wrapping things up with another fantasy story, because let's be honest, if I keep telling you about all the books that I have in my list and all the different lists that I keep and that I have, we're going to be here for a very long time. But let me tell you, I mean, again, I have to say these fantasy books and these titles and these covers are just to die for. Another book that really got my attention is The Arcana Academy. And the writer, the author is, let's see the name of this person, Elise Kova. Elise Kova, Arcana. And when I read Arcana, that sounds familiar to me. And fair enough, when I was reading the summary of the book, this is about the story of a girl that seems to be a thief. This is a magical world. She has some kind of magical abilities or some thievery abilities, and she gets in trouble. She gets rescued by some mystery person that is connected with the Arcana Academy. So it seems that there's a heavy interest in a tarot deck that has special abilities. I do not know what this tarot deck is capable of doing. But then when I read, okay, tarot, arcana, I'm like, oh, major arcana, minor arcanas, then it makes sense. So I was like, oh, okay. So it's tarot inspired. So I thought it was very refreshing. It was very touching. The story seems a little bit lively and fresh. It has a very fresh theme, so it got my attention. The book is seems to be pretty beautiful as well. Very browny, dark gold, with a little bit of white and silver as well. So very interesting, beautiful graphics, and I want to read it as well. So if you have read any excerpts, what do you think of it? What is the length? I don't want to dig a lot into it because I truly want to be surprised by the book. So Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. I think fantasy is going to kick it in 2025, so I'm so looking forward to that. And this is it for now. I hope you truly enjoy some of my choices that I have to read, and I'm so looking forward for 2025. If you have any further recommendations, any other releases that may seem very cute and intriguing, just let me know. What are your choices? Do you have any opinions? Do you have any comments? Leave everything in the description down below. Let's have a little chat and let's exchange some ideas and also some opinions. And until our next installment, take care.